important word that you may or may not have heard before. Other people's money. Right. Auctions are about getting other people's money. If all we're going to do is throw a party and have all the Rotarians come there and spend money, we haven't really done it. We might have, should have had a duck race, right? Or sold candy, poinsettias or something. Because we want to get other people's money. So this is all about convincing other people, non-inner circle people, to give us their money. That's pretty straightforward. And so I have a prop over here. And this prop is your audience. Don't look like an audience. No, we're not really going to clean up at our event either. This represents your audience. I'm going to assume, for the sake of discussion, this is a 1-quart sponge. Not a trick question, how much water will a 1-quart sponge hold? 1 quart of water, right. If I put 8 ounces of water in a 1-quart sponge, what happens to the water? Disappears, right? And what does my sponge still have? Excess capacity, right? If I put a gallon of water in a 1-quart sponge, where does most of the water go? On the floor, right, you got it. So it's important not to over-procure for your audience, and it's important not to under-procure for your audience. Because your audience has the ability to spend about $500 to $1,000 a buying unit. That's the norm. Are there auctions that are out of the norm? Of course there are. It's a bell curve. But generally speaking, over the 21 years I've been doing this, I've been keeping statistics. I do a lot of statistical analysis, and it tends to fall in the $500 to $1,000 range. $600, $700. Our Rotary Club has been hitting $980, it's $970, $980 consistently for about the last 7 years. That's a planning tool for us. Now we know, okay, if we sort of know that we've got $900 a buying unit, then we need to look at what's the capacity of our audience, how many people can we seat. So if we can go do our invitations and make sure we fill the room, then we're sort of halfway there to making our goal. The other half is we have to have enough things for them to spend their money on. They're not going to give us $900 a buying unit for things that are worth $300 a buying unit, right? If on the other hand, we do $7,000 a buying unit of procurement, we're still going to make $900 a buying unit. The rest of that money is going to fall on the floor, okay? So when you're out there procuring, you want to be thinking about what's the size of our audience. Are we doing a 200-person auction, a 300-person auction, a 400-person auction? If you're doing a 300-person auction, that's 150 buying units typically. People come to these events in pairs. So it's 150 buying units. And at 150 buying units at $750 a buying unit at mid-range or $500 a buying unit, you can do your math. So that's how you size. If you're underperforming, it's not a bad thing. It just means that you're leaving a lot of money on the table. It means that you have a sponge that's not getting filled. So you want to focus on procurement. Okay. Now, what if you're the other way? You only have the event day every year, and we only make about $1,100 a buying unit, but next year we've got to make more money. I'm going to say that the only thing you want to focus on is audience development. Do not worry about procurement. You're doing okay in the procurement. You're over exceeding that dollar per buying unit. Your mission is to add another 50 buying units, and that's what our club's doing right now. We want to make another $10,000, $20,000 next year. Well, we're focusing on getting another 10 to 20 buying units. That's what, 2 more tables. It's not that big of a deal. Okay. So sizing up your audience, $500 to $1,000 a buying unit typically. And by the way, if you're keeping good statistics, which you should be, you can go back and do this math yourself and see how you're doing. All right. So there we go. Kind of went off that. Now, a lot of people think, well, we have to go get the high rollers to come to our event. We won't make any money unless we get the high rollers. Well, let me give you a little tip. The high rollers are up at the top of the pyramid. There aren't very many of them, and they don't want anything that you got. You know why? Because they already have it. They're not going to buy the weekend getaway to Leavenworth because they own a house in Wenatchee. They're not going to buy the week-long villa in Acapulco because they own a villa, in Cancun or somewhere. So you don't make any money at the top of the pyramid. You also don't make any money down here. It's the eaters, not the seat fillers. Like at the Oscars, they don't have any empty seats because they have a lot of seat fillers in there. They don't get any awards, but they fill the seat. Well, these are your seat fillers. These are people there for the dinner, but they're not going to give you any money. So what you've got to get are people that are up the pyramid a little bit, that have a little bit of discretionary spending, but down the pyramid a little bit so that they don't have everything they ever wanted or need and would be willing to give you some of their hard-earned money in exchange for what you're offering. That's what we want to operate, the myth. So I'm going to dispel a myth right now of auctions. I have a half hour, don't I? Okay. We don't make money from the high bidder. A lot of people think we have to get all these high bidders to make a lot of money from the high bidder. No, we don't make money from the high bidder. We only collect it from the high bidder. We actually make the money from the second, third, fourth, and fifth high bidder. The high bidder wins the item no matter what. It's the second, third, fourth, and fifth high bidder that make sure the high bidder pays appropriately. So what's important is to get people to come to your event that are willing to play the game. You want to invite players, not necessarily buyers. Okay? Buyers, yes, are necessary, but players are really the most important. People that are, the people that will bid up to $500 on the $1,000 item, make sure that the winner pays $1,000. If you have someone that say, I can't afford anything, so this is why you don't invite Aunt Martha, they're not to pick on Aunt Martha, but you don't invite people to sit at the table if they're not going to play. They're down at the bottom of the pyramid. You want people to say, well, I don't have a lot of money, but for the low end items or for the big items, if I get it for less, I'll play. Great. That's the game. Get people to play. Again, it drives your bids up. That's the whole point. So you want to eliminate as many barriers as possible, because every barrier steals. What are some of the barriers? Can you imagine? I mean, in my workshop, we spent a half an hour just having people fire barriers out. Here's this barrier. Okay, what are some of the ones that are barriers? Well, poorly written descriptions in your catalog. If you don't know what you're bidding on, you're not going to bid. Poor lighting, can't see it, not going to bid on it. Bad bid forms that don't have the proper bid increments on it. Bid numbers written on the backs of catalogs rather than on separate cards. Everyone ever been to an auction where the bid number's written on the back of the catalog? Ever seen that? Well, guess what? You open the catalog, where's the bid number? It's hidden inside the book, right? So now you want to bid. So what do? You hold the catalog over your head? Where are your eyes? Your eyes are here, the catalog's up here. How do you follow along? Can't do it, right? So now the auctioneer finally says sold, and he says, what's your bid number? So what are you told to do? Open or close the book so you can see the numbers. So now you just train the audience to close their book rather than sticking it open and following along. These are all barriers. So you want to think in terms of barriers and get rid of as many barriers as you can. Okay? All right, so poor lighting, bad sound, improper descriptions, distracting events. Oh, we're going to have a great silent auction, and it's going on at the same time as casino night, which is down the hall in the other ballroom. Well, great. Well, you're a bidder. Where would you rather be? A casino, or would you rather be where the auction is? I think I'd rather be at the casino. Great. Well, who's going to be bidding in the auction? So distracting events, not too good. Crowded tables, narrow interest items, and so forth. Table captain is a one-to-many deal. It's very, very simple. If you want to put 200 people in a room, don't try and invite 100 couples. Get 10 people willing to captain a table and fill it with 4 other couples. That'll get you 100 people. You'll be halfway there. Okay, so you need 10 willing people to each captain the table. They don't have to buy the table. We don't want them to buy the table. We want them to basically just invite their friends and family and coworkers and neighbors to sit at the table. They're going to pay their own way in. It's part of the qualification process. If I invite you to come to my event, I expect you to pay your own way in, because if you're not willing to pay your own way in, I don't expect you to be much of a bidder. Right? So the fallacy is, well, we'll sell the tables and I'll fill it with my friends. No, and they'll feel obligated to bid. No, they'll feel obligated to eat. So, my eyes are watering a little bit. Late night, last night auction, early morning at the airport. Anyway, so yeah, get 10 table captains and just say to them, your job is to get 4 other couples to come to the event and buy their own way in. You're halfway home. Great way to do it. Okay. Match items and guests, market the cause, not the mission. Market the cause, the mission, not the money. When you tell people our Rotary Club's having an auction and we're trying to raise $50,000, they go, yawn. But if it's our Rotary Club is trying to end polio, like now, and we're having a fundraiser to try and raise $50,000 so that we can get it matched by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation so we can put $100,000 towards ending polio. Well, that's a mission. That's what you sell. Sell a mission, whatever it is that you're doing. Okay, so best auction items, unique experiences, cooking class with chef, boat cruises, catered dinner in your home. You can see these here. I've got a great item to give you at the end, and I'm going to ask you, because I didn't know we were going to be so oversold, which is great. If there's more than one of you from the same club, we'll just take one, okay? And if you didn't get one today, in my email, I will say, hey, send me that thing, and I'll send you. But what this is how to get auction items without cold calling. How many of you like to cold call? Cold calling is when you talk to someone you don't know and ask them for something of value to them. You give to a total stranger for a cause they know nothing about. You're going to hear no more often than yes. And most people hear no 2 or 3 times, they quit, they come back and say, put me on the decorating committee, right? So this system will absolutely guarantee you to get as many items you ever wanted. And this, by the way, is also downloadable off my website, auctionhelp.com, if you want. But we start on the back of the form. The back of the form is a place to make a list of everybody you know. And who's the first person you put on there? Not me, yourself, that's right. You put yourself on here first. And then your spouse or your significant other. and then mom and dad, and then your in-laws, and then your coworkers, and then your neighbors, and the place where you normally shop, and then your extended family, and guess what? You fill up this page with all the people you know. And the reason this works is that you have to start thinking about the who rather than the what. Most people start the procurement process by worrying about the what. Oh, we ought to get, a ride on a 747 or 787 delivery flight, or let's go, let's get a cruise, or let's get tickets to a Mariners game, or let's get sideline passes to the Seahawks. Those are all great items. And then where it breaks down is, well, how do we get those? I don't know, buddy. So why spend a lot of time brainstorming on what you want? Instead, spend 5 minutes, bless you, spend 5 minutes worrying about who you know. Because if you start with who you know, the what will come. So make your list of who. Everybody in your club does this. Our club does it. We sit down in one of our meetings and everybody fills it out. And then inside, every letter of the alphabet, from autographed memorabilia to zucchini bread, is in here. These are the types of things that sell well at auction. And so then it's the match game. We made the who, we look at the what, and then we write down the what next to the who, and then the next step is column. So I call it 1, 2, 3. 1, who, 2, what, 3, call. Okay? So then we call them and say, hey, Aunt Martha, are you still in that quilting club? And they're saying, well, I made a note here that you might help us get a quilt from your quilting club for our auction. Could you go, sure, we have to do that. Hey, is Uncle Harry there? Your Uncle Harry's there. Does he still belong to Broadmoor? Can he get us around to golf at Broadmoor? Yeah, I think so. So that's the process. And you'll hear yes, 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 yes. You won't ever hear a no. You won't ever hear a no. So that system works fantastic. So that's how you get the best auction items, okay? Practical items, trending items. Make sure you're on the right end of the trend. There were years we couldn't get enough tickle me elbows and we couldn't give them away. Little cabins getaways are always great sellers. And international trips do well. And here's one that's always forgotten, and that's items you would buy. And when I say you, I mean your committee, your club. Why? Because you guys are a focus group. The people that you hang with, the people that you know, the people you invite to come to your event are people that you already have a relationship with. So the things that you are likely to buy are things that they're likely to buy because you travel in the same circles, right? So don't think about what somebody else would want. Think about what you would want. And you'd be amazed at how that when you get in a club meeting and you start throwing ideas out there of what you would buy, how many of those people come up with the same idea? All of a sudden it's like, well, yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Well, I was thinking the same thing too. Well, guess what? If 2 or 3 or 4 people think the same thing, you got a live one, folks. Okay? If 10 of you come up with 3 of the same thing out of 10, imagine what 100 people. That's 30 people that want that. That's 60 people out of a 200-person auction. Okay? So that's why we do that and you would buy. All right. So what do your guests remember when it's all over? First thing they encounter, the check-in. This is the very first thing that happens. If they walk in, they see a line, they're already in a bad mood. Right? So you want to do this. You want to have more helpers than you need. If you think you need 8, have 12. If you think you need 4, have 8. If you think you need 10, have 20. It's always better to have a volunteer standing around with nothing to do than to have a guest standing around looking for someone to help. Okay? All hands on deck at registration. Also, end of the evening, how long was a checkout line? It's a trick question. No checkout line. You don't want a checkout line. Our system that we promote and train to is one we call Q-Check, which basically means we get the credit card on the way in the door, just like when you check into the hotel here at the Hilton. How would you be settling your account, Mr. Jones? Well, we do the same thing tonight. Thank you. We'd like to eliminate the cashiering line. We want you to be able to leave whenever you feel like it. So let's take a swipe of your credit card now. We'll bring your individual itemized statements and receipts to you at your table throughout the dinner. And whenever you feel like leaving, just go to the pickup area, get your item, and go home. There's no cashiering line for you. And people can't get into their wallet fast enough to get their credit. It works like a champ. I can take you through that. These are the critical paths. The first impression, the last impression. The first impression, are they going to have a good time? The last impression, will they come back again the following year? That's what it's all about.